Good morning. Welcome to our adult forum this morning for our Earth Day observation and celebration. Earth Day was this past Tuesday, and so we're observing, keeping, and inviting you to be considering how we are called as followers of Jesus in our particularly Lutheran way to be mindful and dialed in to creative and creation endeavors. I wanted to start with a reading. If you take any of the native trees and bushes home to plant, there is a handout that should come with it that is echoes our Faith 5. Some of you that might have been a part of our prayer, reflection, and contemplation forums during Lent will be familiar with it. Just kind of a repetitive, practicable way of living faith when we are sent out from here. And those 5 faith practices are share. We talk about highs and lows and how what we're doing connects with God in the world. We read obviously from the Word or something inspired connected to the Word. We talk about that. We pray, we bless, and then I've added a 6th practice, so it's Faith 5 plus 1, and that is service. How, not only what we talk about, what we think about, but then as well how what we do participates and impacts God's good earth and God's world and the communities in which we live. I want to introduce to you Michelle Dehn. Michelle runs is the owner-operator of the Our Marketplace in our own downtown Anoka. You may be familiar with the place. If not, I want to encourage you to become familiar with the place. Here's where I want to start. Language matters. In some of our earliest translations of the Bible, particularly the King James Version, written at a time when kings ruled the world. Here is how the end of the first chapter of Genesis reads. When God speaks not only creation into existence, but addresses the humans created in the likeness of God. This is how the first chapter beginning with verse 27 reads. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him. Male and female he created them. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it. And have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. That's from good old King James. Same passage, and I want to read to you from it's not a translation, but it is a transliteration, shall we say. This is from the Message, a fellow named Eugene Peterson that sat down with the Bible and said, how can we make this clearer and hold on to the intent of the original Hebrew or Greek languages? I want to read you the exact same passage, and with language particularly about dominion and ruling over. I want you to listen to how the Message renders that language. God created human beings. God created them godlike, reflecting God's nature. God created them male and female. God blessed them, saying, prosper, reproduce, fill the earth, take charge, be responsible for fish in the sea and birds in the air, for every living thing that moves on the face of the earth. The language there is striking compared to the language of dominion and ruling over at a time at which kings ruled. I just came back from spending most of my week in Boston, immersed in the Revolutionary War and all of that kind of thing, a time not far from when the Bible was first printed in English, when kings ruled and with a word. If the king said jump, You jumped. Huh? And so we have that language reflected in the earliest translations. But when we hear what Eugene Peterson does in asking, is that what that language and that words, what those words are all about, we hear something different. Something inviting, something to me that sounds considerably more holistic in our place in creation, to be responsible for. Taking charge, perhaps, yes, as human beings, but with a sense of stewardship and responsibility that we hear and see writ large throughout the text, throughout the beginning of our creation text. Thus, we want to welcome Michelle Dehn to be here with us, and if you would, please welcome Michelle.
Thank you, Pastor Mike. Thank you all for coming to listen to me talk. So I'm just going to start by saying it's been a while since I've done some public speaking, so I had to do a little bit of research on, so what do I do? How do I do this effectively? And it said, capture your audience. A good way to do that is with a joke. So I figured since we were in church, I'd really capture your attention if I started with a dirty joke.
What?
Oh, never mind. It's just about trash. So my jokes are bad, really bad. You can ask my family. So I think we'll just jump right on in. So what we have today is trash talk, why it matters more than you may think. So here we go. Pastor Mike did a great introduction of who I am. Founder of Our Marketplace, which is a zero waste store in Anoka. I want to focus on that very little today. That's not really why I'm here. I opened up my business really to just make a difference in my community on how we can reduce the impact we make to the planet. So I've been a long time earth lover. Really, it started in elementary school. I went to a Catholic school. We had a program where the Minneapolis electric company came in with a little puppet, and the puppet was called an awful lot. And he encouraged everyone else to be an awful lot, which basically meant that you turned off your lights and you turned off your faucet and you turned off all of the things when you weren't using them. And I really took that seriously. And I think that my mom still to this day would know exactly what I was talking about if I said awful lot, because I probably was a little naggy about it. I am also a Anoka County recycling ambassador, and I don't know how many of you are aware that Anoka County has a great program for recycling and for education. If anyone is curious about what that program is, or just wants more information on recycling and how to do it properly, I would love to answer anybody's questions. So really, community is so important to me. Just knowing who's in my community, sharing information that I have, hearing information that they have, really makes us all better. So today we're going to talk about a couple of things. The dirty truth, which is today's garbage problem. Wasted potential, food waste. The plastic predicament, recycling reality check. Zero waste, big impact. Trash stinks, challenges to changes. Slash the trash, the path to zero waste. And then any questions that you might have. So the dirty truth is really we have way more garbage than what we need in the world. The United States alone generates approximately 292 million tons of garbage every year. That's 4.9 pounds per person. Now, in the 7-county Anoka metro area in the state, we do a little bit better. Worse, actually, 5.69 pounds per person. It's 3.3 million tons every year. It's a lot of garbage. It's hard to visualize how much garbage that is. But all of that garbage would fill up 250,000 garbage trucks. If you lined them up bumper to bumper, they would stretch 2,000 miles. That's from Minneapolis to LA. That's just the garbage in the 7-county metro area. It doesn't just go away. It has to go somewhere. So, as Americans, we make up 4% of the population, but we account for 12% of the world's waste. And I think it's really hard to visualize that. So this is kind of a good way to help visualize what that means. There is some music with this video, but it's very loud and obnoxious, so I decided to just mute it. And the video is a little long, so I'm gonna move it forward a bit, but basically each of these, it's a different country in the world and how much garbage they produce every year. And there's the scale on some of the buildings and landmarks that people are familiar with as far as how much garbage is produced. So we get to Canada here, the United Kingdom, France, Mexico. I'm going to move it ahead just a little bit. We can do better. And this is how much garbage every year. It's daunting, but I think it's important that we talk about it. We can't change if we don't know. Oh, I need to get out of that. All right, sorry about that. So this is basically a historical representation of how much garbage people were producing by year. And you can kind of see, in 1960, we were about 2.5 pounds per person. In the 70s, we went up to a little bit over 3. In the 90s, a little bit over 4. And now we're really hovering around that 5 pounds per person per day. And apparently, I shouldn't be using the clicker because I don't know how to use it. There we go. So this is kind of the same thing, but how many million tons of garbage have been produced? Our population obviously is increasing. So if we are producing more per person and our population is increasing, that number is just going to continue to increase. So what does this garbage contain of? You can see here that a lot of it is food waste, plastics, wood, yard trimmings, paper products, a lot of stuff that's easier than what you would think to reduce. Okay, I'm gonna give up on this. So every year, 63 million tons of food is wasted. That's over 1 pound per person per day. It's 40% of the world's produced food is wasted. And it would be enough to feed 99 million people every day for a year. So just some tips on how to reduce food waste. Make a meal plan, stick to a grocery list. It seems simple, but it's very helpful. If you plan kind of around overlapping ingredients, maybe you're gonna have rotisserie chicken, then maybe you make chicken noodle soup. Maybe you make chicken salad, sandwiches. This is the wrong group, I feel, to be telling this conversation to. You're like, yeah, yep, we know. We've been doing this for years.
We're the evangelists.
Yes. So tell people, keep it going. Eat what you have. Learn how to store food properly. Use clear containers in your refrigerator so you can see what you have. Freeze excess food such as bread, fruit, vegetables, and cheese. Consider a vacuum sealer. We have, and I brought one as an example if anyone is curious. It's a mason jar food vacuum sealer. It is amazing. We can cut up a head of romaine lettuce, stick it in a jar, and it'll last for over a week. It's amazing. Use your scraps. Freeze vegetable peelings to make broth. Use stale bread to make croutons. And then consider smaller portions. Maybe going out to eat and sharing an item instead of having it all thrown away. I think we all have good intentions with, we'll bring it home, maybe it gets eaten, maybe it doesn't. All right, I'm gonna give this thing a try again. All right, food waste contributes to 8 to 10% of greenhouse gas emissions. And that was something that was very surprising for me to hear. So what happens is when organic waste breaks down in a landfill without oxygen, it creates methane. And methane is a greenhouse gas. It's 80 times more potent than carbon dioxide. So really the best way to combat that is by organic composting. How many of you compost your food scraps? Good, I love it. That's more than what I would expect. We have a great program in Anoka. How many of you are Anoka residents? How many of you are, like, if you're not, like Ramsey, Andover, maybe? Okay. I don't know if Anoka would want me to tell you this or not, but you could drop off in our compost. It would totally be fine. I'll tell you where it is. Right now, only 4% of our food waste is composted. And for every ton that is composted, it does reduce our CO2, and it also really helps with healthy soil. Composting does more than just reduce waste. It reduces erosion and runoff by having healthy soil, and it enhances the soil's ability to basically pull carbon from the air. All right, so let's move on to plastic. Since 1950, 9.2 billion metric tons of plastic have been produced. Only 9% of that has been recycled. Americans use 100 billion bags of plastic bags yearly, and that requires over 12 million barrels of oil. Over 60 million plastic water bottles are used every day in the United States, and most of them are not recycled. This is just kind of a picture of what the soda aisle used to look like in 1980, which really is not that long ago, versus today. All plastic bottles now versus glass bottles just 45 years ago? In 1950, we were producing very little plastic, and it has just skyrocketed to today. And it's still increasing. Plastic pollution kills over 1 million marine animals every year. There are 5 plastic islands floating in our oceans. One is twice the size of Texas. And if the trends continue, there will be more plastic in our oceans than there are fish. So I have a similar video about plastic. And this is another, I hear these numbers and I look at these numbers quite often to do just different awareness posts on my business's social media. And I can't visualize what do these numbers mean. So when I found this, it was very, very eye-opening. The coffee to go thrown away daily, it's just amazing that our throwaway society has really, really impacted just all of this.
Is this worldwide?
Yes. Yeah, and this is Manhattan, New York area, the map. And the music on this one is also very daunting and annoying. Nobody wants to hear it. And I think so it's staggering how much plastic we are consuming and creating in the world. And then recently, it's been the talk of microplastics. So unlike organic compounds, plastic does not break down into carbon. It becomes microplastics, which is basically just very little pieces of plastic that we cannot see. And they're found everywhere. They're in our food, in our air, in our oceans, in our water, in our blood. It's been found in baby formula. And it is estimated that every week we ingest enough plastic that if it were put together, it would be equivalent to a Lego brick. Yum, right, right. Microplastics contain harmful toxins associated with many different health conditions, increase in cancer, hormone imbalancement, long-term respiratory issues, specifically if you are breathing them in. So this has been a problem that's been talked about for a long time, and we have been told that recycling is the answer. We have been sold a bill of lies. It helps. I am not going to say that it does not help, but the plastic industry, very, very strongly tied with the oil industry, and they do not want to lose the money in their demand. There's a great mini documentary series on YouTube that you can find called The Story of Plastics, and it will go into great detail on how the oil company and the plastic industry really started to push more plastic bottles through bottled water when they noticed that their demand was going down because of better fuel efficient vehicles and because of the decline of people drinking soda for health issues. And that's really when the demand for bottled water skyrocketed. And then they started to tell us it wasn't a problem because we could recycle. Only 32% of waste is recycled in the United States. Here in the metro area, we are better at 45%. 25% of what we put into our recycling bins is contaminated. They're dirty, greasy, and plastic bags, and none of that can be recycled. Most plastic can only be recycled 1 to 2 times, so it's not true recycling. It's downcycling, so plastic bottles are made into jeans, or plastic bottles are made into a plastic bag that then it's end of life. More new products are being produced than what we are recycling. So we are creating more plastic bottles than what we recycle every year. So even if our rates were to go up, it's not going to matter that much if we don't stop using what we have. We're told that recycling solves the problem. This encourages a throwaway culture with people feeling good about themselves when they make purchases. So what do we do about it? This is one, oh yes, Daniel, what do we do about it?
We make more stuff out of organic materials.
That's one way, yeah. Or we could use less stuff. I swear I didn't put them in as a plant. So zero waste lifestyle, it can really have a big impact. And that was really why I wanted to open up the store that I have, is to give people ways to buy things differently and to be able to help educate the people who come into my store. So zero waste, it's a lifestyle goal focused on sending nothing to the landfill by making mindful choices based on the 5R hierarchy. So if we all did these things perfectly, we would create zero waste. Now the reality is none of us are probably going to do it perfectly, and that's okay, because if we're all doing this better, it does reduce the overall impact. So the first R is to refuse. Simply say no to things that you don't need. To reduce your overall consumption on buying only the things that are necessary. Reuse, so you choose to use things over and over again instead of disposable items. Learn how to recycle properly and recycle everything that you can, and then rot the rest, which is basically to compost. So, refuse. It's really the most powerful step in reducing our impact. It is about making intentional choices and saying no to unnecessary items. If we don't need it, it doesn't get made, it doesn't get thrown into the landfill. It's a simple action that reduces the overall burden and helps protect the environment. So here are some items that we can say no to. Plastic water bottles, synthetic fibers, and the reason that one is important is they do not break down. Anything that's a synthetic fiber is basically made out of plastic, so polyester, poly means plastic, basically. If you are buying cotton clothing, that will break down just like food scraps and become carbon and compostable material. Business cards. How many of us take a business card with good intentions and just end up throwing it away? You do? Do you have a question, Daniel? Okay. Plastic cutlery. It's very easy to put something in a purse or a bag to just be able to have your own instead of having to take one when you are out on the go. Fast fashion. We are highly encouraged to change our wardrobe by the season, every season, all the time. And so much of those clothes get put into the landfill. Marketing swag. Go to the expo, they give you a bag, you fill it with the little hand clappers, the stress balls, all of that stuff that maybe is fun for about 30 seconds, and a lot of it ends up in the landfill. Pressures of society. This is kind of all encompassing. Just we are told, buy this, it's better, buy this, buy, replace, new and improved, all of those catchwords. Learning how to say no to that and really realizing what's important. It's tough, but it's important. Yes, Daniel.
And stress balls might pop.
They might pop, yeah. Yes, I know that's happened to you before. Plastic wrapped produce. There's nothing that drives me more bonkers than looking at a bunch of bananas that are wrapped in plastic because the bananas were designed with a wrapper. Same thing with an ear of corn. Disposables in general. Anytime you can reuse something, it's better. So every year, my family hosts a party. We typically have, I don't know, maybe 50 people. We provide all of the food. We provide all of the beverages. We have live music. It's a great time. We love doing it. The first year that we did it, I brought and had all compostable plates, dropped everything off at the compost. Then the next year, when we were camping with my in-laws, my mother-in-law had set up a wash station. So everybody had their own plate for the camping trip, and there was a wash bin, a rinse bin, and a sanitize bin. And I thought, this is brilliant. Why can't we do this at all parties, you know? So we incorporated that into our party. We bought 25 thick, good plastic plates because it is outdoor. I didn't want them to break. But basically, here's the plates. When you're done, here's the compost. Just scrape your plate into here. Wash it, rinse, sanitize. We had a drying rack at the beginning of our food line, and not everybody eats at the same time anyways, and we had hardly any garbage for a party of about 50 people. The other thing that I noticed is we had hardly any food waste. I think just that extra step of you can't just throw your plate into the garbage, people just ate it all, or they took less. It was mind-blowing to me. We also encourage everybody to bring their own reusable drinking vessel is what we call it, because the more creative, the better. And we have water and lemonade and iced tea that's all just out of a canister, and then a keg of beer. But it's amazing also how little cleaning we have to do afterwards. So I think we can go back. It's just not something that we think to do because it's so countercultural. Yes, Daniel. Okay. Goodie bags. I know that the kids love to get a goodie bag at a birthday party, but it's really not something that's necessary. It's mostly just garbage. How many stickers do they need? How many little plastic bracelets do they need? No goodie bags. Consumerism in general. Plastic straws. Plastic bags. Some of these are pretty self-explanatory, but you can see that it all adds up. Magazines, So much is available now electronically. Catalogs. And then the last one I have on here is guilt. I think it's very easy once you start trying to live a lifestyle like this, for me anyways, that if I make a mistake, I feel guilty about it. It was not that long ago, it was last school, the beginning of the school year, I was doing school supply shopping for the kids and thinking about the first days of school and was feeling a little nostalgic. And I bought it was an impulse buy of bubble tape, the bubble gum that's in the big plastic circle, and it's probably a generational thing. It was really popular when I was younger. And I was so excited to get that. It just made me feel like a kid, like I was going back to school again. And I got into my car and I opened it up and I took out the first thing of gum. And I thought, why in the world did I do this? This is just a big plastic, it's not even recyclable plastic. Why did I buy this? And I started to get down on myself a little bit. But really, the system is stacked against us. So I just in that moment decided I'm not going to feel guilty. This is a teachable moment for myself to learn how to say no better. So even me, who preaches this and tries to live it every day and has a store, I still make mistakes myself. So the next R is reduce. So to really be intentional with our purchases, focus on the things that we really need versus the things that we want. If there's something that I've really wanted, I try to stop. Do I really want this, or do I need it? And if it's something that I am still thinking about, maybe a month down the road, then it is probably something that I really do need. Choose high quality items that are going to last longer over things that are going to degrade quickly. Borrow or rent items instead of buying them. Then also try to cut back on our energy use. Remember the whole awful lot thing. Adjust the thermostat when you're sleeping or when you're away. Dress for the weather. Drives me crazy when these two over here tell me that it's cold and they're walking around in a shorts and t-shirt and it's winter time. No, I'm not turning up the heat. When it's hot outside, try to avoid cooking indoors. Avoid your oven use. Meal plan according to the weather. I do a lot of that. When possible, air dry clothing. I had something else I was going to say on that. It will come to me. Reduce your overall water usage. Take shorter showers. Run the dishwasher only when it's full. Collect rainwater for plants. Plan meals to minimize food wastes. Shop local to reduce shipping and packaging emissions. I think that's another thing that a lot of people don't think about is it's so easy. I can get this from Amazon. I can get this delivered right to my house. There are more Amazon and FedEx and UPS trucks on the road than there ever have been before. All the emissions from the extra deliveries, all of the extra boxes. If you have a big box packaged with a lot of items versus a small box, for every single item, it really starts to add up. And when I do my sourcing for my store, I take into consideration where is that product coming from. I try to get things as close as possible, just to kind of minimize how far it's traveling. Give experiences instead of physical gifts. That's actually, it kind of ends up being a gift, I feel, for you, even at that point. This last Christmas, my husband and I took our little nieces to a play. That was their Christmas gift. We brought them for breakfast, and then we went and saw a play. The play wasn't as good as what we had hoped, but we still got to spend this great quality time with them, and they were so, so excited. And we still laugh about some of the things that we got to experience with them. I mean, some of the items and things that come out of their mouth, it's just so comical. And I think that they really appreciate that so much more than another toy. All right, so then the next one is to reuse. So that's the third R of the zero waste hierarchy. So say goodbye to single-use items, opt for reusables. Carry a reusable water bottle, coffee cup, utensils. Keep a to-go kit in your car. And this is one, when I was doing this, I realized I'm not doing this one well right now. But for a while we had just like a little box or a little bag in our car that had old Tupperware containers, straws, silverware, so we wouldn't have to use any of that. So when we were out to eat, if we did have anything that we needed to bring home, we could have that container with us and not have to have a styrofoam to go container or a black plastic container. I specify black because black plastic is never recyclable. Refill containers at zero waste or refill stores. There are more of these types of stores popping up all over the place. There's a great resource called Litterless that has a directory of stores that are like this. Also, Hub has a fairly good bulk section, and I don't know if they like that I do this or not, but I have been saving my old bread bags, and I will use those bags instead of one of their plastic bags to refill with. No one has told me I can't do it yet, but I try to kind of keep it off of the radar also. Yes, Daniel.
I'm not lazy, I'm stretching.
Oh, you're stretching. Okay. Repair and maintain items before replacing them. I have to tell you, I am a very, very lucky wife because I have a very genius husband who took apart our microwave 3 times. Oh, 4. 3. Because it wasn't working and he was able to repair it. And I know that not everybody has a wonderful resource like I do, but there are fix-it clinics that the county puts on, so you can bring in items that are not working, and they will help you try to troubleshoot and figure out what's going on. There's also, I forgot about this until I started to talk about it. There's a local person here who also does some of that work. And if anybody is interested, I'll get you his information, where he will come to your house and fix a furnace or fix an appliance. And it's just kind of a new business that he's working on, but he's been very busy. So that's a really good sign. Choose secondhand or thrift items when possible. Repurpose jars, containers, packaging creatively. In my store, I save every single box, every single piece of brown paper that comes in as a packaging material, every single packing peanut. I don't get many of those, but I do get some. Every single piece of plastic bubble wrap. And I have had times when I have had so much of it, I don't even know what I'm going to do with it. But it seems like just at the right time, somebody needs a box or somebody needs packaging material. And I have a handful of people who now they need it for their own businesses, and they come in and they grab what they need. And I think if we just were to start thinking more community driven with these things in mind, and we really shared our resources, it would be so helpful. Another thing that I do is a puzzle swap. So if any of you all like puzzles, I have a whole section of my store that is puzzles that people have just brought in that they don't want anymore for somebody else to use. I said very early on when I decided to open up my space that if I have people come in and I make a difference and it changes the way that they're thinking, or they have reduced in any way and they never buy a single thing from me, then I am successful. So if you all want a puzzle and you don't want to buy anything from me, that's totally fine. I'm totally giving permission for that, because it's really not what my goal is. It's a really weird business model. I was a member of the chamber for a while, and I think all of these business people thought I was insane, because my basically was like, that's my goal is not to make money. It's not my number one goal. Obviously, I have bills to pay, but it's so much bigger than that. And I really wish that more businesses and people would think about the big picture versus just the bottom line. So this is just some examples of upcycled fun. These are old tires that have been painted for gardening, some jeans that have been cut up to make it into stockings. This is a bag made out of a t-shirt, gift wrap made out of brown paper. And if you need brown paper for gift wrap, come and get it. Yes, dear.
You don't grow food in tires, though.
Sure, don't grow food in tires. Yeah. You were going to say that too? This here is a castle that was made out of cardboard. So I am a very good copier. I am not very good at coming up with original ideas with upcycling. I have been cutting up old t-shirts and making it into t-shirt yarn. And if you cut up your t-shirt properly, you can get it in one continuous roll and then roll it into a ball. And then from those, I have been making dog toys. So it's kind of fun. All right, so on to the next R, recycle. Recycling is what you do only after you've refused, reduced, and reused. The goal is to minimize the need of what needs to be recycled. Try to choose glass or aluminum over plastic. Glass and aluminum can be recycled indefinitely, over and over and over and over, whereas plastic does degrade and can only be recycled. It's usually only recycled 1 to 2 times. And then focus on learning how to recycle correctly. Wish cycling does more harm than it does good. So I think so many times people throw something in the recycling bin hoping that it's recyclable. They don't know. In doing that, it can contaminate the whole lot, causing that whole lot to be thrown away instead of recycled. So even though it sounds counterintuitive, when in doubt, throw it out. Put in clean recyclables to prevent contamination, again, just to make sure that that lot's not thrown away. And learn your recycling rules, as they may vary from city and county. So here, and these are printed out over on this table also, kind of a guide, and this is on Anoka County's website, on how to recycle, what is accepted for curbside recycling. We also have many great drop-off sites in the county. So these are examples of things that can be recycled but not thrown into your recycling bin. The QR code here will bring you to a list of all of the different cities that offer this. If you're an Anoka County resident, you can go to any of those cities to drop off items. And then anything that you are unsure of, the county has a great resource here where you just put in here, what am I trying to dispose of? And it's going to point you in the direction of the best way to get rid of that. And that QR code will bring you to that directory. And again, all of these are printed out over on the table too. And then I just wanted to touch quickly on lithium batteries. It's super important that they are recycled, but it's more important that they are not thrown into our garbage. They are the leading cause for garbage fires. Any type of pressure or impact put onto a lithium battery can cause a fire. And that is the whole reason why we have to check our laptops, or not check our laptops and bring them on in our carry-on when we fly, is because if they are put into the belly of the plane, something could puncture the battery and cause a fire. All right, so the next one, the next R is rot. So rotting kind of closes that system, the loop. It's giving back to the earth what the earth has given to us. Even small efforts add up. Basically what I tell my kids all the time when they were not sure, when we were implementing this at home, is this recyclable, is this compostable, is it compostable? And my answer to them always was, if it was once alive, it's compostable. We have great drop-off facilities here where everything can go in there. Your bones, your meat, your cheese, anything that you can't do like in backyard composting. Kleenexes, paper towels. If it was once alive, it can be put into that compost site. Supports healthy soil, local gardens. It's just so simple and easy. And then here, this is different places where you can drop off your compost. And QR code again, which will bring a map to all of those different places. So, trash stinks, we know this. And there are many challenges to help us to make this just a more challenging road. The system is confusing. Recycling rules vary. Packaging labels are misleading. A recycling symbol does not necessarily mean that the product is recyclable. Not all communities have access to composting or recycling. And the constant advertising and marketing pushes to buy more, buy better, you need this. It really becomes the norm. And I think breaking that norm is really the number one step. And then there's also greenwashing and misleading information. So greenwashing is when companies will tell you with a recycling symbol that something is recyclable, so you feel good about it, that you can buy it. It's not going to cause more problems. We're all aware that this is a problem now. It's talked about all the time. There's been great documentaries on how much plastic is in the ocean, but we're not given solutions, and companies are now trying to trick us. The most recent one that just happened in our family, we ordered pizza. I'm not going to say from who. The bottom of the box said, "Recycle me, I'm recyclable." It's greasy. It's not recyclable. You can put it in your compost, but it's not recyclable. So ways to avoid greenwashing. I'm looking at the clock, so I'm just going to go quickly here. Look for buzzwords like eco-friendly, green, natural. They're all pretty vague. Look at the details. Check for certifications, Fair Trade, B Corp, USDA organic. Read the ingredients and/or the materials. Research the company. Focus on how they package their material. So, slash the trash. This is the path to zero waste. 1, find out your why. What is motivating you to do this? Is it future generations? Is it the environmental impact? Assess your now. Take an honest look at your current habits and identify where waste shows up. Consider doing a garbage audit, which is basically writing down every single thing that you throw away for about a week. Waste is not just trash. Look at your overall lifestyle. And then take a look at your purchasing habits and your consumption. Start small with simple steps that you know that you can do, that you know that you can be successful with. Choose changes that fit your lifestyle. Everybody's lifestyle is different. Everybody's path is going to be different. Use what you already have before buying new things. If people were to come into my house, they may think that I'm a hypocrite. I am currently using a plastic dish brush because I've had it for years and it still functions. When it doesn't, it will be thrown away and I will replace it with a bamboo one. Focus on forming one new habit at a time and then level up gradually. Once your swaps become habits, incorporate new ones. Stay curious, keep learning, keep your motivation on your why. Circle back and repeat. Step number 5. Revisit your steps as your lifestyle evolves. Zero waste is not a destination, it's a continuous journey. We all can get better. I can get better. Here are just some examples of some kitchen swaps. So like reusable unpaper towels, bamboo dish brushes instead of plastic ones, reusable bags. These are reusable instead of like the plastic push-up freezies. Those are here. Wrapping food in beeswax wrap instead of plastic wrap. Reusable muffin cups. And then that is a silicone baking mat, so that would replace parchment paper. And then here are some bathroom swaps. Again, you'll see that there's a lot of bamboo products. Bamboo is a very, very fast growing resource and it doesn't take that much water, which is why bamboo is really used a lot in sustainability. So wooden instead of plastic toothbrushes, reusable cotton swabs, bamboo brushes, safety razors, bamboo floss instead of plastic floss, and then that one there is a shampoo bar. So instead of using shampoo out of a bottle that's liquid, it comes in bar form and it's amazing. And then just some other everyday swaps. I forgot to change the words on that one. Dryer balls instead of dryer sheets, some bamboo reusable cutlery, produce bags, menstrual cups instead of disposable period products, reusable bags, and then reusable dusters, and then refilling products that are liquid. So I send you out on your journey and you think you got it. And just remember, we do not have to be perfect with this journey. This woman here is contributed with kind of creating that hierarchy of zero waste, Anne Marie, and she says, we don't need a handful of people doing zero waste perfectly. We need millions of people doing it imperfectly. That's what I got. Thank you so much.